Hi, everybody. Peter Schiff. It is Tuesday, November 3rd, 2009. Well, the big news today came out of the IMF in India. The IMF sold 200 metric tons of gold to the Central Bank of India. I think it was about a $6 or $7 or $8 billion purchase. They sold about half of the gold that they announced that they had intended to sell. And I remember when the IMF first announced that they were contemplating these gold sales, it was negatively received in the gold market. People were worried that this supply of IMF gold was going to suppress the market and therefore gold prices would fall. At the time, I maintained, and I think I also spoke about it on this video blog, that I didn't think that was the case. I said if the IMF was stupid enough to sell its gold, that there would be plenty of foreign central banks who would scoop it up. I specifically mentioned countries like China or India that would be interested in buying up this gold. Any of the foreign central banks who have been accumulating dollar reserves want to get rid of those dollar reserves. They would love to get IMF gold. So I said that if the IMF were to put its gold on the market, there would be plenty of bidders and the price would not go down. And that's exactly what happened. In fact, gold now is up another $25 an ounce today. It's a new all-time record high, a nominal high in the price of gold today. In fact, a couple of days ago, I commented on this blog, I think it was in Friday, that the most interesting part of the price action was the resilience of gold. If you recall, on Friday, the Dow was down about 250 points, but the price of gold was unchanged. It recovered about a $10 loss from earlier in the day, and it was very strong, and that showed me that there was some real underlying strength in the gold market. And since then, we've surged. We were up over $10 yesterday, and with today's $25 move, all of a sudden, gold's at a new high. You know, silver was up about 5% today, I think about $8 an ounce. I think gold stocks, the Huey, the HUI, that index was up over 8% on the day. This should be very significant for the dollar, because the fact that the Bank of India wanted all this IMF gold shows that they don't want dollars. The reason they're buying gold is to diversify out of dollars. And remember, you know, comments coming out of China earlier were that they wanted to increase their gold reserves, but they wanted to do so without pushing up the price. Well, they had an opportunity here. They didn't do it. India was able to buy a big chunk of gold in one swoop. Now the price is even higher. The question is, who's going to buy the remaining half of the IMF gold sale? Is China going to step up to the plate? Will Brazil step up? Will Russia? But somebody is going to want to buy it, because I think foreign central banks around the world, particularly the ones that are flush with dollars, are going to be competing with one another. That are going to be bidding against one another to accumulate gold. But all of this shows that the dollar's days as the reserve currency are numbered. The fact that India is willing to step into the market and pay a new high. They bought, you know, a huge a piece of gold, you know, a huge supply at the high of the market. What does that tell you? Do you think it means that the Indian Central Bank thinks gold's going to get cheaper if they're willing to make a major purchase at what amounts to a record high? Not on your life. They know the market's going to go up, and now other central banks are going to see that they better act soon to increase their gold reserves, or they're going to be paying even more to accumulate them. You know, Warren Buffett announced today an acquisition of Burlington Northern. Apparently, he said he had a lot of cash that he was looking to spend. I think he would be better if he bought gold as opposed to Burlington Northern, if he's trying to get rid of his cash. But I think even Warren Buffett understands that you don't want to have a lot of cash when there's a lot of inflation. I think that's the real reason that he bought Burlington Northern. He's claiming that it is a big major bet on America. I don't necessarily think so. I think he wants to get rid of cash and own a tangible asset. Also, Burlington Northern will benefit from rising oil prices that makes shipping by truck more expensive by comparison. So I think it's an inflation hedge because rail will be more competitive in an inflationary environment. And of course, a lot of the freight that is being hauled on those rail cars is coal and other raw materials that are being shipped across the country to be put on boats en route to China. So in many respects, he is betting on growth in China being supplied with U.S. raw materials, which makes sense because Warren Buffett is already looking to gain exposure to that part of the world. You know, he often tries to go out there and talk about the fact that America's best days or its brightest days are ahead of us. And while I hope that's true, the reality is the days are going to get a lot darker before the sun ultimately shines if we can pull our act together. But what Warren Buffett doesn't seem to appreciate is how bad things are going to get before they potentially get better. I think if you look at the way he invests his money and some of the things that he says, I think he appreciates inflation is coming back, and I think he appreciates that he doesn't want to have too much cash in an inflationary environment. But I think he really does sugarcoat it when it comes to being critical of the U.S. economy. I know he was a supporter of Barack Obama, so I don't think he wants to be too critical of the president's policies, but those policies are dramatically undermining our economy. And if America's best days are ahead of it, as Warren Buffett says, unfortunately, they're way ahead because they're going to get a lot worse first. And that is certainly what gold is telling you today, what the Bank of India is telling you with its purchase of gold. Also overnight, the Reserve Bank of Australia nudged up interest rates again. They're now up, I think, to 3.5%. I think more rate hikes are coming from foreign central banks. I think the Fed is going to continue to drag its feet as long as it can. Potentially, a surging gold market will put an end to that. You know, interestingly enough, the U.S. dollar did not do too bad today, given the strength of gold. My guess is this is a delayed reaction, and further strength in gold will push down the dollar. In fact, I looked at the Dow today. The Dow is now down to 9.2 ounces of gold. That's a new low for this move. Now, the lowest it got was last year at the absolute lows. The Dow got down to about 8 ounces of gold. But even though the Dow is, 35 or 30% or 40% off its lows in dollars, it's now only, a little over 10% off its lows in gold. I firmly believe that before this year is over, and maybe early, not before this year is over, before 2010 is over, and maybe early in 2010, that gold Dow relationship will break down below 8. I think there's a good chance that before 2010 comes to an end, the Dow Jones will be worth just 5 ounces of gold and ultimately head a lot lower from there. That's it for today. So long. Oh, I'm on my way to record Fast Money, but I guess by the time you see this blog, I might have already done it on CNBC, so watch for it on YouTube. And again, remember, the Money Bomb, November 5th, is coming up in 2 days, SchiffSuperbomb.com. Make sure and go to my website, SchiffForSenate.com, and donate as much as you can to the campaign so that we can have a good money bomb on November 5th. And remember, it's about 1 year until the 2010 senatorial elections.